everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the day that the Lord has made. Y'all already know I've been rejoicing. It's been a lovely few days. Starting with Sunday, I had some things going on. Then yesterday, if you tuned in yesterday and you got to watch my friend, my pal Trey Kearney talk about adultery and forgiveness, and oh my gosh, it was such a powerful time that we had as she just opened up and really talked about healing in that aspect on Valentine's Day. Shocking that we would talk about something like that on Valentine's Day, but we decided to do something different. So those of you who have tuned in and sent so many different requests saying we all need to do that again, a part two, guess what? We're doing a part two. And we're going to add a few more people to the next time that we do it. However, today, again, we have another entry, what I call Shenee Shares interview series. You all know I've been doing this whole thing called the Road to Wholeness. And part of it is just a road to just being whole and healing and talking with people who are willing to just impart to you what they've gone through, the things that they're doing. But I decided to do a little twist this time. I said, you know what? I want to interview some pastors. I want to talk to some pastors who are doing things beyond the pulpit, not just standing behind the pulpit preaching. Yes, we love a good word. We love our shepherds, but what are they doing outside of the four walls? And tonight we have a special treat. Starting off, my first guest is Pastor Timothy Findley Jr. And before I bring him out, I want to give y'all a little clip of what he's been doing, and then I'm gonna bring him on. And I gotta give y'all a hint. Politics. Yes, politics, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll bring him on in a few after we watch this clip. So enjoy. While we're doing it, I need y'all to do, y'all know what to do. Start sharing, letting people know. If you're on YouTube, do the same thing. I know we're starting a whole new YouTube channel, but do what y'all need to do. Subscribe, share, share, share. You do not want to miss this man of God here. So watch this clip and I will bring him on in a few.
Timothy Findley Jr. says his administration will look at all the issues, including public safety, through an equitable lens.
For me, I take the role that I have, the influence and impact that I have very seriously. And although at first, like with many people, I was somewhat apprehensive, I understood that by me stepping out and doing this, it would have a positive impact, hopefully, prayerfully, a positive impact on people. So when I got the call, I got in touch with my mother. We went down, we did that, knowing that there would be people that would watch that and say,
Timothy Findley Jr. says his administration will look at all the issues, including public safety, through an equitable lens.
For me, I take the role that I have, the influence and impact that I have very seriously. And although at first, like with many people, I was somewhat apprehensive, I understood that by me stepping out and doing this, it would have a positive impact, hopefully, prayerfully, a positive impact on people. So when I got the call, I got in touch with my mother. We went down, we did that, knowing that there would be people that would watch that and say, okay, if Pastor Tim did this, if his mother did this, then maybe I ought to give this a shot. We are going to fine you until you address these properties. Fix it up or go bankrupt.
Walked into a house and went on into a full praise break. The man gets even more incensed. Her praise intensifies. He gets extremely angry. He's confused. And he shouts through the window, "Why are you doing all that shouting? I told you I'm the one that brought them groceries." She said to him through the window, "I'm shouting because not only did God get me the groceries, he made the devil pay for it." When you've got a praise pattern, it'll change your perspective. I dare somebody just to open up your mouth and thank God that he's using the devil to get you to another place. Y'all sit down.
For anyone who has that call from God, you know that you're called for specific times, specific reasons.
Get your praise back before you get new stuff. As a matter of fact, find you another neighbor and say, "Neighbor, I ain't danced all year. It's been a pandemic. I ain't danced all year. I done had job loss. I ain't danced all year. I've been going through some stuff, but I've come to let the devil know that I'm back, baby, and I'm about to get a dance in that'll shake the very essence." Look at somebody and say, "You got about 20.
You voted already? You have? Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. My man, you voted yet? You gonna vote? You're not gonna vote? Come on, man.
Jesus talked about defending poor people, the disenfranchised, more than anything else. And I think when you consider what Christianity is supposed to be, then there is no way that I can look at voting as something separate. So our role is not to be on the fringe. Our role is to be speaking truth to power. It's holding politicians accountable. It's to do as Jesus did. I am very focused on the road ahead. I'm focused on this city being better. And whether I am elected by the people as the next mayor of Louisville or not, I'm going to be here and still fighting for everyone.
Hang out in comfort. You cannot hang out on the edge. I know you're thinking to yourself, it may cost me everything if I step out on the edge. It may cost me everything if I step out in the water. But I need you to understand tonight that every step that you take, God's about to do something amazing in your life. Look at your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, I don't know about you, but I've had some dreams where God's been showing me some things. I've been having some visions where God's been showing me some things."
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuned in, I'm giving you another chance. Click share, share, share. We apologize for that technical issue. The devil is a liar because evidently this is going to be a hot night. All right. What you just experienced is none other than Father, author, entrepreneur, activist, visionary. And guess what? He is running for mayor in Louisville, Kentucky. I know most of my viewers are in the DMV, Atlanta, and Africa. That's where most of you are. Oh, I'm sorry. In LA, I got shout out LA. I'm sorry. Most of my viewers from LA. Can't forget my LA family. But we have Louisville, Kentucky in the building, and I'm about to bring him on. Pastor Timothy E. Findley Jr. How art thou, sir? How art thou?
Prophetess Woodson.
Oh, goodness. Here we go.
Thank you for having me. Really glad to be here. Excited about the conversation tonight.
I am too. Well, I am not going to hold anything up because of the technical issue. I want, especially the ending. Anybody who's when watching any of the series, at the end, I let our guests just go at it. I sit back and just put my pillow and just let them go. So I'm gonna get through to the questions, and so you can get to know him a little better, and then we're just gonna let him flow at the end. All right. So first thing I do want to ask you is, I just want to ask you this: how have you been able to keep the faith? And what I mean, like, through all the stuff that's going on, we see a lot of pastors now, not straying away, but not stick out. I'm gonna just say it, not more following quote unquote protocol. So how do you keep the faith and just make sure you're giving that word how it's supposed to be? Because I know what I just heard, and I don't hear preaching like that all the time no more. It's more like bless me, bless me, bless me. You was going in. So how do you maintain?
Yeah, well, I think that's a necessary question, and it's a necessary discussion that we have to have with all proclaimers of the gospel. One of the things that I have always been taught, and I teach this to the ministers at our church, I teach this to the people of our church, is that if you only study to preach, you're going to be a weak preacher. Ooh. If you only study to teach, you're going to be a weak teacher, because preaching and teaching, you're drawing from the well, and it requires that you have a personal prayer life, a personal study life. It requires that you are very transparent about your own spiritual health. And over the last 2 years, I think all of us have really had to deal with the fact that with all these things going on, is our prayer life, is our study life, is our preparation life, has it matched the intensity of what's going on in the world? What was okay for 2016 was not okay for 2020. What was okay for 2014 was not okay for 2021. And I think where many preachers and teachers and ministers, period, sort of found difficulty and struggle was that they tried to maintain this same sort of mediocre, personal sort of connection, personal study time, all these different things, without sort of raising that intensity level, and adopting a more sort of passionate approach to making sure that we're spiritually healthy individually. So I think that's, for me, the way that I keep the faith, the way that I keep going. It's understanding that in times like these, my relationship with God, my own personal devotion time is absolutely critical. Nothing can get in the way of that. And really what that means, that devotion time, it's really my ear has to be open to what God is saying in this moment. And I can't draw on simply what he said in times past, which that's important. But my ear needs to be tuned into what he's saying in this moment. And that only comes through seeking him. And you seek discipline. Seeking requires discipline. And many people think they're seekers, but they're not disciplined to seek. And that old scripture that we all often quote, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct. That acknowledging him is that it requires that you seek after him so that he will direct your path. So that's how I keep the faith.
I love it. I love it. And I'm just going to piggyback a little bit and just ask you, when did you actually know that you were called to pastor? Was it like a little boy, and you heard you was walking down the street and said, you're a pastor?
Like, you know what? To be honest, my call into ministry was different than my call to pastor, obviously, and that happens with people. My call into ministry happened in San Diego, California.
Okay.
So I wasn't living any kind of a consecrated, saved life. I didn't have a choir robe on at all. So I was out in San Diego having the time of my life.
I hear.
And the Lord sort of interrupted that. And that was my initial call into ministry. The call to pastor came, and I won't forget this. I have a pretty good memory. It came in my Old Testament survey class in Bible college.
Okay.
I was actually attending Southern Baptist Theological Seminary here in Louisville, Kentucky, a Southern Baptist school, white evangelical through and through. And the church that I was working at the time was paying my way through. And I was already challenged by some of the things that I was hearing. And I was sitting in the Old Testament class, and the teacher was teaching, I think, out of Job, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it was just that particular day I heard the Lord clearly begin to speak to me about shepherding his people. And I began to actually write out during class, sitting right there, the vision that God was downloading in that moment for Kingdom Fellowship Christian Life Center. And that began the journey to birthing what God had placed in me.
Wow. And I love what you said about how you start off with ministry. You were called to ministry first and then the pastor. Because some people, as soon as I'm called to ministry, and boom, they want to hit the pulpit right away. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. So I love.
And you know what happens is you miss out on discipline when you do that. A lot of the challenges that are happening in churches right now, and a lot of the foolishness that we're seeing from current pastors and even older, even from times past pastors, is that there's a discipline in sitting. There's a discipline in waiting. There is a godly patience that is necessary. And I think that there is something to be said about God calling you and then allowing that process to unfold. And no, it's not like this for everyone, but I think there may be in this day and age a rush to the title. I say this frequently, and it is so important that pastoring should not be the answer to low self-esteem.
Ooh.
Pastoring should not be the answer to self-validation issues.
Wow.
And for too many people, I think that may be, there's some old esteem issues from childhood. There's some validation and hurt that has come in different relationships. So there's almost this business decision or this ego stroking. And we say it was God, when really it wasn't God. It was whatever chasm in your own mental that you're trying to fill, that you've sort of painted and said, okay, this is a call from God. And that's dangerous to the people of God.
I love it. So, we're going to switch gears here, because let me tell y'all, he wears so many hats. I really had to think okay, we only have an hour. So I don't know how many questions I can ask him, because I'm going to actually, when this is over, I'm going to put up all his accolades up later on.
You don't have to at all.
I am going to see this and know what my dilemma was. Okay, what direction should I go in? But I do want to talk about your business. It really caught my eye, because I'm definitely into development with what I want to do, and with my next business. Hint, y'all will be on the lookout. But Life Development Corporation. Can you share a little bit with us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So Life Development Corporation. It's a nonprofit organization. It is the way in which I'm able to give back to the community and deal with socioeconomic issues that exist in every city in America and really around the world. We started, I believe, in 2009. We're a 501c3, and we've just been tremendously blessed, in terms of what we've been able to do. It's we could take the rest of the hour talking about life development and all that's happened, but some of the notable things that I'm really, really proud of is that at one time we were the only African-American led nonprofit doing HIV support in the city of Louisville. We had received a grant, a federal grant, to do that work, and to be, a tremendous staff, tremendous group of individuals that make it go. One of the clips that you saw when I was talking about being socially active, that was at what we call our Vote Now conference. So we had a whole Vote Now conference dealing with voting and educating people on some of the political issues. We have a wealth building conference where we talk and educate people on how to build wealth and how to start businesses and how to embrace all the different things that come with that. And we've done things from mentoring, so on and so forth. And then connected with Life Development Corporation and even Kingdom Fellowship, we're blessed now to partner with a pre-K that's in our facility, where we're seeing 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. They're in the facility that are being exposed to quality education. So there's a lot. And, you know, to be completely honest, I have a brilliant team that makes me look good. You know, I get all the camera time, but they're the ones that really make it happen.
Now, this wasn't in one of the questions, but I'm glad you brought up team.
Well, you know, I didn't even know we had questions until like right before, so I'm good to go.
You're so busy, Pastor.
But my assistant Erin, I'm sure she's watching. She did a great job. It's in the notes. I just didn't look at the notes.
I do want to shout Erin out. Erin is now my new best friend. So yes, she has been. You have a wonderful.
Now, where are you from in the DMV? You in Baltimore?
I am in Baltimore. Baltimore.
I'm not hijacking the interview, but I knew it when I heard you say you.
Don't start.
Okay, go ahead. I was like, yo, is that Baltimore? Because Erin's from Baltimore. So y'all YouTube. I knew it.
We had a nice conversation. Very nice. Shout out to her. Me and her officially are buddies now. So I look forward to what she is going to. I don't know. I think it's a nice connection there. But back to you. I'll get Erin on here another time. You have a great assistant. That's my new buddy. But I do want to talk to you when you did say team, and I just want you to talk about that briefly. How important it is to make sure that you have the right team with you, because sometimes we connect with people because maybe they have, we see some of the things we're doing, but how important it is to make sure you have the right team. Can flow.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you this much, and this is one of my passions, talking about leadership, talking about team building. I think most people will agree you have to have the right team, but many people don't know how to build the right team. And I would say, obviously prayer, discernment, all that's extremely important. That's initial. But one of the things that I've learned over the course of time that I've been doing this, and it's invaluable, is that one of the ingredients of building the right team from a manager, owner, CEO standpoint is that you have to learn to staff into your weakness. Ooh. You have to learn that, number one, you don't do everything well. That you're not an expert on everything, although we think we are, and that God blesses us to have people that he will send to us, that they specialize in different things. And oftentimes what derails a leader's effectiveness is being able to acknowledge that this team member is better at this than you are. It doesn't take away from you. It just means you need to humble yourself and say, they're better at it. And it's a blessing because they're on the team. And I think that in team building, that very point will take your team, will take your business, will take your church to another level. One of my pet peeves are pastors that don't now some pastors, this has to be their reality, but many pastors are doing everything. Many CEOs are doing everything when they don't have to, when they are simply control freaks and won't release to brilliant and talented, leaders and team members in order to further the vision. And I think that's what hinders great teams.
And I'm glad you brought that up because you actually stepped on my toes. Because I actually was that person. When I first started His Favor, I had a few people that was helping, but then someone came to me and said, Shenee, why are you doing all this on your own? And then you're forgetting stuff. Stuff is getting, you're not dotting your I's and crossing your T's. Get people to help you. Once I did, I was like, woo, oh, that's why you need people to help.
And let them fail. That's another thing. Is that, and I know this from experience early on, I didn't do good at this. But when you start something, it's your baby. When it's your passion. One of the worst things is to see things fall, to see things drop. But what I found out in maturing and being more experienced and seeing the path to success is that oftentimes those who are skilled, who have the ability to do it, they're going to make mistakes. And you've got to be confident enough in them that even when they make a mistake, we circle the wagon, we talk about it, we do some after action review, but it's going to happen. And if you're not vulnerable enough to give that power away, you're going to stay at a mediocre level. And it took me a while to get to that point. And it's an ongoing thing. But especially with where I am now and what I'm endeavoring to do, it is absolutely critical that you have a trust in your people, even when they make mistakes.
I love that. Yeah, like I said, you stuck my toes. I'm a lot better now. I really am.
Awesome.
I learned my lesson like a year ago. No, 2 years ago. I give it to you.
Mhm.
So where you're stepping to, I'm getting my water for this. All right. Now, why did you decide? We have to talk about this. Decide to run for office, mayor of Louisville, Kentucky. Pastor running for mayor. Talk to me. What made you decide to run for office?
Well, honestly, this was something that was already on my mind. I had talked about this a while back. Most people that know me and had paid attention sort of saw this coming. So it wasn't a shock, but I had planned on, a little time, ticking off the calendar, and then stepping into it. The day that I decided now was the moment, and I shouldn't say I decided, the day I heard God say, now's the time. And I've never looked back. And I know this because it was a seminal moment here in Louisville. It was the day, and I was down at what we call here Breonna Taylor Square. And it was the sort of centralized location for protest, for activism, for the community, for different people. I was there the day all the news channels were there, CNN, Fox News, all the local stations, when our Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, was to announce the verdict, if they were, or if they were going to charge these officers, or what the charges would be, rather. And the day that he decided that they would not charge the officers for murder, I remember being there, and it was hundreds of people out there, even more than that. And there was palpable disappointment. It was a tragic scene. People were crying and screaming out. And I sat there in that crowd, disappointed, frustrated, but inspired that take the step now. This is the moment. And it was that day and that moment that I knew that the Lord had opened that door and said, step through it. And I didn't look back. I knew at that moment, now's the time. And I didn't know what office at that point. I just knew now was the time to step into the legislative piece. You've protested, you're a community leader, people trust you, but you've seen now that it's time for a Christian mind, a Black Christian mind, a conscious Black Christian mind to lead as it relates to legislation, policy, and helping the marginalized.
I hear you. And I want to ask you, what do you say to those people who feel like the church doesn't belong in politics? How do you address those individuals?
Well, are those individuals people that are in the church or outside of church?
In the church.
I would say to them that I would encourage them to actually really, really read the Bible, because I don't know if they're reading the Bible. I would encourage them to study Jesus. I don't think they've really studied Jesus. I would also tell them to put down the evangelical commentaries and their favorite books from white evangelical preachers and teachers who have made Black people believe that we don't belong in politics. What I can tell you is that there are a lot of white evangelical preachers and teachers that are involved in politics. A lot. Because what has happened, and I'm sort of hesitant. I'm not hesitant, but I want to make sure I'm framing this right, because I can get passionate and fiery and say things, and then people are like, what? We have to be careful, because we've been given sort of an idea of what Christianity is about that really isn't Christianity. It is the master's Christianity. What I have found out from many from the evangelical persuasion is that their macro ethic misses justice. They miss the fact that Jesus was about justice, that Jesus told parables about justice, that Jesus was a revolutionary, that he talked more about the disenfranchised, the marginalized, the poor, and how we treat them more than really anything else. That we see people like Job, who said, I wore justice like a turban, that I was clothed in righteousness, that I broke the jaw of the oppressor. All of these different things have been sort of taken out of our verbiage and understanding, when the truth of the matter is, I don't think the church should be politicized, but I do believe that we have a responsibility to be involved in the decision making that affects our people and so many people. So for me, it's never been a question. And I wasn't raised like that. I was raised in a very conscious home. And I know that every time I read scripture, when it talks about loving thy neighbor as thyself, when it talks about caring for one another, there's several different levels that appears on. That's the reality. So for me, go back and read that Bible, and you'll see that in any way that we can affect the lives of people, we ought to be doing that.
And that's why with this platform, I like what you said, because if you look at what our motto is where diversity is celebrated. And I like the fact that so many people can come on and, and know that there's other people out there that's doing things for Christ. They're celebrating their gifts, that they're out there, preaching what thus saith the Lord, the real, I would say being authentic with what they have in them. And that's because when I grew up, I went to a school where, everybody was there. I mean, one of my friends was Indian, and one of my other best friends, she's Jewish, and we had a good time together. But I still, in the midst of, I didn't forget who I was as a Black woman. I even got shot sometimes when I started his favor, like, you're a Black woman, you should be doing more Black empowerment things like that. I have friends that's doing that. God called me to something else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know I can still reach people doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Opening up the door for other people to have something to say. And because I think a lot of it is about a conversation. And if we really listen to each other, and I think that's what a lot of people are not doing.
And a lot of times we like to pigeonhole empowerment. We like to make empowerment look one way, and that's the only way. I 100% agree with you. Empowerment comes in so many different appearances, in so many different packages. So that's the thing that I say to people all the time. We can all get involved, but you get involved in the way that you feel led. And especially when it comes to those of us who are believers, those of us who are Christian, we have a set of values and principles that are derived from the Word of God. And we attack this, this common enemy that we have. We deal with the sin of the time from different angles. And that's important that we do that. So I'm about lifting people up. I'm about seeing all of us engaged in this work, both of ministry and justice from our particular areas of giftedness.
I love it. Now, out of all the things that you have achieved, I know you're running for mayor, but with some other things that you have achieved, what do you say is the one you're most proud of?
Wow. I would say my daughter graduating from college this year.
Okay.
I have a daughter, and she's graduating early.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's her achievement. She did the work. But as a father that is a girl dad, and she is an extreme daddy's girl. And I love it. It's just, out of everything that I've been blessed to accomplish and achieve, to me, she is that treasure, and she makes me most proud. It's just seeing what she's doing, and it's amazing. And at my last press conference, I think you showed a clip from it. I was rolling out my public safety plan. She introduced me and just got up there like a pro and killed it. So she makes me proud every day. She's the accomplishment for me.
I love that. Y'all hear that? A parent proud of their child, and he's this greatest accomplishment. So
I torture her every day, though. I definitely torture her. I try to come up with TikTok dances that I send to her on purpose because I want her to see it, and she hates it with a passion. But she knows I love her, and I'm super proud.
Yeah, I have an 11-year-old, and she got skipped a grade, but I can't do nothing. Everything, mom. So she's at the preteen stage where everything I do.
Have fun.
I'm like,
listen,
I
when
can't
she
do
hits that
nothing.
14, 15, it's different for moms and daughters. Now,
Yeah.
dads, they run to us and they tell about mom. Yeah, just prepare. There's a little phase in there, and for some it's a month, others it's a couple years. But
I found her pacifier, and I was so happy. I was like, "This is what I remember."
Yeah.
Who is this little girl? I don't know her. I mean, I got it. I don't need you. I'm like, no, you need me. You need
independent.
me.
Yeah.
So it's a little different for mama.
Absolutely.
All right, now, then after this, I'm gonna let you take the floor. I'm gonna sit aside. Put. I got my water here. I got my pillow.
I got a sentence or two, and I'm gonna get out the way.
Now with all the hats that you wear, I do want to ask you this because I am a big because of what I'm going through. I just made the announcement that I have IIH, is idiopathic intracranial hypertension. It's a rare brain disorder. So I am heavy on self-care now. I have no choice but to be heavy on self-care. So with all that you're doing, how are you practicing self-care?
Oh Lord. I would say for me, as I am still improving in that area, I try to stay, in the gym.
Okay.
So that's for me, both psychologically, emotionally, even spiritually, that is a very important part of my daily routine. So I would say that's definitely a self-care practice. And then I try to make time every day, just quiet time.
I love that.
Because most of my day is not filled with quiet. And I'm constantly, and it's a blessing. I don't complain about it, but I'm constantly surrounded by people. And I'm constantly surrounded by people sort of telling me which way to go, what to do, what to say, all that good stuff. And it's good, but I need time. And usually it comes early in the morning where it's just me, God, my thoughts, what he's saying. That's where he speaks to me in terms of messages. That's where he speaks to me in terms of direction. And I honestly don't think from an emotional and mental place that I could do what I do the way that I do it if I didn't have that time to sort of disconnect, pull back, and it be quiet. And when I say quiet, I mean, I don't have on headphones listening to music, none of that. It is a get up, I'm walking in my neighborhood, and it's just the cars, the wind, the trees, and most of my neighbors, I'm sure, think that I'm crazy because I'm often muttering and talking to myself or talking to God out loud and talking to myself about different things. But that's a very, very important addition to my life. It's a very important sort of daily routine, and that's the major self-care. And then surrounding myself with people that care about me as a person.
I like that.
Not Pastor Tim, not Mayor Tim, not business guy Tim, but Tim, and that can hold me in that way. That's another form of self-care for me. So I'm blessed. I have a very packed type schedule, but I'm blessed to have amazing people around me that care, that pray for me, that lift me up, and allow me to be me.
I love that.
So that's a big one.
And we all need that. And I'm especially glad you brought up the quiet time. I don't think people realize how important that is. I think some people feel quiet time, like you said, is the music, or maybe my quiet time is listening to music or talking to somebody. But sometimes no, you don't even need the music sometimes.
Right.
I remember this woman was praying for me one day, and she laid her hands on me, and she said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "Lord is showing me there's so much noise around you. No wonder you can't get yourself together." Especially, she was telling me, you can't get yourself, there is so much noise around you. She said, God just wants you to be still, just be quiet. And once I learned how to do that, and just sometimes I sit in my bed and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna be still. I'm gonna be quiet. And I hear so much now from him, and it's like, whoa, okay, now I see why. Just that quiet time. So thank you for bringing that up, because I don't think people truly realize what quiet really means. It's like, oh yeah, I had my quiet time because I teach managing stress also.
Yeah.
I have a state Uncle Sam job too. I work for the state of Maryland as a personal professional development trainer, and one of the classes I teach is managing stress. And that's one thing I tell them, like, quiet time is quiet time. It's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So take the TV off, take the music off, and just woosah, be quiet.
Because it's so very important. So very important.
It is. Now, like I said, I have my agua. And I have my pillow. So everyone, those of you who are chiming in just now, thank you for joining us. We are here with Pastor Timothy Findley Jr., who is running for mayor in Louisville, Kentucky. I saw a few people jump off. However, those of you who are chiming later after the live, I'm letting you know, please still share it. Follow this man. I'm going to put all his information in after I edit this post. And our newsletter will be coming out tomorrow, so you'll get to see the replay in the newsletter. I need more of you to sign up for our new newsletter that's coming out. It is, go to hisfavoriteministries.com. Again, I made the announcements. We're not doing the publications no more. I'm doing strictly live interviews. So you're still able to get the old publications. Our last publication was Tamla Mann and Tony Evans. So if you still want to get those two issues, they're still available. And Pastor Cheryl Brady and Real Talk Kim issues are still available if you want to get those. But after that, after April, they will not be available anymore. Okay. So we're just doing live interviews. Thank you, Pastor Timothy Findley Jr. for joining me in our transition of doing live interviews now. But I'm going to give him the floor. And let him just flow. Just let God use him. Start sharing, everybody, if you have not already. And I'm going to put myself off the camera and give him the whole screen.
Oh, wow. Listen,
when I say free flow, I mean free flow.
Listen, I'm going to flow in these last 30 seconds. I'm going to flow in these last 30 seconds.
Yes. Here we go.
Well, again, thank you for having me. Thank you for all who have joined on tonight. Hopefully something was shared that would be impactful and a blessing to you. I will share this, and it's something that today, just praying and seeking God and in some personal devotion time, and really before this live, I was on a prayer call with our church, and the Lord had placed in my spirit, I believe it's Psalm 121, where he talks about lifting up our eyes into the hills from whence cometh our help. Our help cometh from the Lord who makes the heavens and the earth, who made the heavens and the earth. And just to encourage somebody tonight, we're in this world, and it's filled with so many things that are competing for our attention, so many things that want to divert and distract, so many issues in life, so many things that are happening on social media and on the television. So many things associated with COVID and how our money has been impacted and how our social standings and social circles have been impacted. But I want someone just to understand tonight and be encouraged that where God has you right now, and the journey that God has placed you on, this is not in vain. That strength, our church, our theme this year is be strengthened. And I believe that this is a word for everyone, that where God has you and this process that God has you in, it's about you being strengthened. And as difficult as things are, as adverse as things are, as many things that you're having to juggle right now and wondering if people even understand what you're going through, take heart, be encouraged, understand in this moment that God is using this process to strengthen you, that you have been selected for demonstration. You've been handpicked to deal with this moment, and he's walking with you through this. He's saying simply, look to me, lift your eyes up to me, fix your gaze on me, set your mind on things above and not things beneath. This is the blueprint. this is what's needed in this hour and in this moment, that our focus, our perspective in this hour, in this moment, be so fixed on God that we be so determined to do the will of God. And however that applies in your personal life, whatever God is saying to you individually, the goal, the purpose, and what God is doing in this moment, it's really about him disciplining your perspective, him bringing discipline to your priorities in life, that he's weeding people out of your life purposely, that he is weeding activities and habits out of your life purposely, that there's friction in different things that have been comfortable for the longest time, simply because he's bringing your gaze. I remember growing up, I would get in trouble, and my mom or father would be trying to tell me something, and I'd be so distracted by what was going on around me. And I remember as a parent, they would grab my chin and sort of bring it back and kind of give me that little nudge that, no, it's right here. I need you to pay attention to what I'm doing. I believe in 2022, in this hour, here in February, that God has his hand on our chin and he's bringing us around. He's saying, listen, you're being distracted by all these things and you're losing sight of what the purpose is in this moment. And the purpose is the advancement of the kingdom. The purpose is that you have an assignment, that you have purpose, that I've placed something on you, and it's not about your comfort. I'm more concerned with your holiness than your happiness. And in this moment, you've got to be so focused on the road ahead, the path that God has set before you. The steps of a good man are ordered by God. In this moment, the focus that we must have has to be one where we are determined and fixed on what God has spoken. So I hope that you would be encouraged tonight. I know it's crazy right now. I know there's some challenges in your life. I know that there are certain areas that seem bleak. And I know that for some people may be walking away from you. But just know that God is up to something. And our role, our responsibility is to trust the hand of God and trust what he's doing. So be encouraged. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that you have an absolutely blessed night. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Timothy Findley Jr. He was talking to me, so everybody else was listening. I'm sorry, that whole thing was just for me, but I'm joking.
You.
But yes, I appreciate you, sir, again for taking the time out to talk with us. Sorry for the technical issue. I don't know, the internet just
absolutely fine.
Just the internet.
Absolutely fine.
But again, everyone, please, if you're tuning in later, please continue to share. I repeat, be on the lookout for the newsletter so far. I am so excited because I just checked while he was talking. We are at 2.8K with our email subscribers. So keep subscribing,
amazing,
everyone. So tomorrow afternoon, you will get that email out to watch this and the broadcast we did yesterday with Trey Kearney. And some other surprises on there. So you all tuned into our new newsletter that's coming out. All right. Have a wonderful, blessed rest of the evening. Tune in on Thursday. I will be interviewing Regina Robinson. I know y'all like, why is she interviewing all these people? Because one, I want to. All right. Y'all know how I'm straight to the point. Two, because I know these people can really encourage you all, especially during a time as this. Regina is a powerhouse speaker. She has Unstoppable Women ministry. I've also spoke at her event before, and just be in tune in on Thursday. You will not want to miss Thursday. And then next week we have another pastor from Alabama, Pastor Ivy March, who has a powerful men's ministry out in Alabama. It's so powerful. So I'm bringing him on. Then we have Eric Kellum, another pastor who is doing phenomenal things. Again, just a lot of pastors who are not just standing behind the pulpit. They're doing things in their community. They're doing things, just helping people and going far and beyond than the call of duty. So thank you again, Pastor.
Thank you for having me. Oh, and shout out to Pastor Brenda
Your
Tuggle
shadows. I'm sorry.
and Garden of Prayer there in Baltimore. Amazing church. So glad
Tony
to connect
Smith?
to them. Pastor Brenda Tuggle and Garden of Prayer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I thought, Baltimore, I got to make sure I shout them out.
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
West Side. All right. Yes. And if you ever come this way, please, hey, I'm here sometime.
Absolutely.
But again, and please let the people know how to reach you.
Well, you can go to my website, www.findleyformayor.com, FINDLEY 4 mayor.com. I'd love a donation if you feel so inclined. I'm on all social media platforms. It's just my name, Timothy Findley Jr. Connect and you can see what we're doing.
Okay. Thank you so much. Again, everyone, have a lovely evening and see you all on Thursday.
Bless you. Thank you.